One of the most important communication methods that you can pull into your company, and one of the things that we've seen to be an absolute game changer in the way that teams communicate, provide transparency, and really pull together a team in terms of their culture, is the Daily Standup. Now, the Daily Standup in itself is not a new concept. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. Some of you probably do it, but we do it differently. We want you to do it asynchronously. Now, at this point, it should be pretty clear that asynchronous communication essentially allows people to communicate when, where, and sometimes how they want to. And what that ultimately should do, if you think about, water filling a container, right, and taking the shape of it, if you allow people to communicate where, when, and how they want, they should naturally gravitate towards communicating in their most effective way. The companies that have those sort of 9 a.m. huddles, the stand-ups at Monday mornings, everybody at the same time, to think that you could get 3 people on the same schedule, much less 10, 20, or even more, is ludicrous. Every one of us has a different rhythm, and there's people who aren't morning people. There are people who really shine in the afternoon. Why would you force people into a box that gets them into a synchronous stand-up that's really not going to be the most effective use of anybody's time, and they're just not going to be engaged? And that ends up really setting the tone for their entire day of work. So we believe in the asynchronous daily stand-up, and there's a few different ways to achieve that. But just to harp on the importance of this one more time, in our stand-ups and in the ones that we teach to you guys, the questions can vary, but generally what we do is we say, hey team, it's time to check in. What are you working on today? And what are your biggest obstacles? Now you could say, what did you get done yesterday if you want, but I just never found that to be that necessary because we're having a weekly huddle in addition, and that's done synchronously, and that's a different kind of a thing. So what are you going to work on today, and what's your biggest obstacle? And you might be, I have this 7 things, and this is my biggest obstacle. My kid's sick at home. That's always a possible obstacle. Or I'm really waiting for this person to get back to me. And what that does is it provides momentum. It allows people to know that there's a lot of work getting done. It sets a tone for how much work is getting done and on what. And the obstacle thing is really interesting because it allows people to ask for help without having to ask for help. And that's what really brings the team together. Now, the method that you use for your stand-up is up to you. The tool that you use is up to you. You can do it in Slack. You could do it over text message. You can do it really in any form you want. But I'm a really, really big fan of using Voxer. And so with Voxer, we have a group chat. And here it is every day. I think ours is at 8 in the morning. Yep. Time to check in. And as you can see, this is pretty typical. There's only 4 of us on our team. But in this case, it took about an hour and a half for all 4 of us to check in. And that's not atypical. Sometimes it takes 20 minutes. Sometimes it can take 4 or 5 hours. But the point is that every single day there's a touch point. And one of the reasons that I'm so adamant about using Voxer is I think that voice provides a richness and a connectivity that you really can't get otherwise. Whether your team is remote or all in person, you hear things in people's tone, the timbre, the cadence of their voice that you just don't get when it's done by text. And even video, to some extent, I don't think conveys the same as audio alone. Now, there are times when people will write in what their obstacles and what they're working on, and that's fine. But generally speaking, we're using voice. And again, with voice, you can tell what somebody's obstacle is sometimes even if they don't say it. And we've had plenty of times where somebody has done their check-in and somebody else on the team says, hey, you know what, Courtney, you don't sound great today. Like, what's going on? Do you need some help with this or that? And it provides that opportunity for us to have a tighter-knit team and, again, a stronger culture. And we can help people where it's needed rather than finding out after the fact that there's a mistake happening. Now, to do this in an automated way is really, really simple. Again, whatever platform you're using doesn't matter. We just simply go into Zapier. This is a simple 2-step Zap that says that every day, and I chose to have it be every day except weekends, right? So not weekends, choose the day of the week or the time of the day. And then in our case, it's send a message to a Voxer group chat. It simply says, time to check in. What are you going to do today? What are your biggest obstacles? You can do whatever you want. And then the key differentiator here, depending on the size of your organization, is who does the stand-ups. So if you have a fairly large organization, you want to have stand-ups basically at different team levels and then grouping them up together. So what I mean is, if you have a structure like this, for example, then this group here is going to do a stand-up. And this group here is going to do a stand-up every day. And this group is going to do a stand-up every day, for example. Once that happens, this group is going to do a stand-up. So basically, each team is going to do their own stand-up, and then the directors or the managers of those teams should do a stand-up with the level above them, essentially. So we're not having 40, 50 people on a stand-up, but you do want to have this situation where you have each group, because the things that they're going to talk about are being relevant to them, but then at that sort of directorial level, you need to have a touching of base as well. And what you end up doing is, in a matter of literally seconds, because a check-in of this sort could be 30 to 45 seconds, you're going to have the entire team on the same page every single day.